Death Valley, Mystery in the Desert, an Adventure, Thriller Story, Part 1, The Fateful Encounter. One sweltering midsummer morning, as the sun was just rising over the Mojave Desert, four friends from Los Angeles set off on what they called their last road trip before turning 30. Ethan, a documentary filmmaker; Mia, a young geologist; Oliver, a wildlife photographer; and Clara, a travel blogger. Their destination, Death Valley, known as one of the hottest places on Earth. Death Valley is not only a barren land with temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, but also a place that holds mysterious stories. Stones that move on their own, strange noises at night, and stories of people who disappear without a trace have urged people to explore this place. The group stopped in the small town of Beatty, the gateway to Death Valley. At an old roadside diner, they met an older man named Hank, the owner and a lifelong resident. Hank smiled as the group told him about their plans for exploration. "You really want to go in there? Beware of its name, Death Valley. Not everyone who goes in is lucky enough to come out." Hank's warning made Clara curious. "Uncle Hank, what do you mean? What's more dangerous than the heat and poisonous snakes?" Hank looked far away at the horizon, his voice low. "There's more to that valley than just heat. There are things that science can't explain. Ghosts, whispers in the wind, and traces of the ancient people of Timbisha. If you see anything unusual, come back immediately." The group laughed, dismissing Hank's words as a childish scare story. But deep in his eyes, there was something that made Ethan feel uneasy. Part 2, Stepping into the Barren Land. The next day, the group drove their SUVs into Death Valley. They started at Zabriskie Point, where the morning light cast a spectacular picture across the clay hills. Oliver quickly snapped dozens of photos, while Mia explained the area's unique geology. As the sun rose, they drove to Racetrack Playa, famous for its walking rocks. Mia couldn't contain her excitement. "This place is strange. The rocks move by themselves for dozens of meters, leaving long trails on the ground that no one has ever seen them move." But as the group walked around the area, Clara suddenly noticed something strange. A streak of rock seemed to be out of sync with the wind, as if it had been pushed by an invisible force from underground. Clara took a picture of the streak of rock and joked, "Perhaps these are the footprints of an ancient creature." Mia shook her head. "Don't be silly. These marks are just the result of rare rain combined with strong winds." However, Ethan sensed something was wrong. He turned around and saw a large rock suddenly in a different position than it had been 10 minutes earlier. Part 3, The Mysterious Camp. After a long day, the group set up camp at Furnace Creek, a popular rest stop. But instead of resting, they decided to camp deeper into the desert to avoid the noise of other travelers. Ethan chose a spot near Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America. That night, as everyone gathered around the fire, they heard strange sounds in the distance. First the wind howled, then a sound like a moan. Mia turned on her flashlight, but saw nothing but endless darkness. Clara shuddered. Maybe Uncle Hank is right. This place isn't normal, but Ethan, who is always looking for inspiration for his documentary, just laughs. "This is what we came here for, mysterious, scary, perfect for a movie." Around midnight, while everyone was fast asleep, Ethan was startled awake by a strange dream. He found himself standing in the middle of a vast salt field, surrounded by blurry figures. A voice whispered, "Get out of here before it's too late." Part 4, Buried Secrets. The next day, the group continued their journey to Eureka Dunes, famous for its singing sand dunes. When the wind blew, strange, guitar-like sounds came from the sand. But this time, the sound sounded like a sigh, making the group feel uneasy. While exploring the area, they stumbled upon a narrow entrance leading down into a small canyon. Inside, Oliver found an old wooden plaque that read, "Do not move forward unless you want to awaken the anger of this land." Mia, with the curious nature of a scientist, wanted to go deeper to explore. Clara strongly objected. "We shouldn't go in there. The sign clearly says so." But at Ethan and Mia's persuasion, the group decided to go in. As they went deeper, the air became more and more stuffy, and a foul smell gradually appeared. Finally, they came to a large cave, where there were ancient wall paintings by the people of Timbisha. Mia realized that this could be a forgotten temple. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. Clara shouted, "We need to get out of here now." But before they could leave, a strange light flashed from deep within the cave. Part 5. Race with Death. The light not only frightened the group, but also evoked strange images in each of their minds. Ethan saw ghosts from his dreams, whispering warnings. Mia felt as if invisible hands were pulling her back. Oliver tried to take a picture of the light, but his camera suddenly broke. The group fled the cave, but the path back seemed to have changed. The moans from the night before were now clearer, mixed with eerie laughter. They finally emerged from the cave, but the nightmare was not over. They found their car buried in the sand, and there was no sign of life around. Part 6. The Truth About Death Valley. On their way to escape, the group meets Hank, who they did not expect to appear here. Hank reveals that he used to be an archaeologist, and the cave they discovered actually seals an ancient secret. The Timbisha believe that this land is a gateway to the afterlife. Anyone who dares to disturb its peace will pay the price. Hank leads them to a safe exit, but warns that what they saw will haunt them forever. Part 7. The End. After returning to Los Angeles, each member of the group feels a change. Ethan decides to make a documentary about his experiences, but when he reviews the footage, he discovers images of ghosts he never filmed. Mia quits her job surveying the wilderness, believing that there are places where humans don't belong. Oliver begins to distance himself from his friends, and Clara decides never to return to Death Valley again. Though they escaped, Death Valley remains an indelible mystery in their memories, a place where nature and the supernatural intersect, and human curiosity sometimes comes at the price of horror.